Good evening, people. Signature Scent Reviews. Coming at you today with a video over a classic fragrance some of you may have heard of and some of you may not have. Now, this is not for the kids, so leave the room. No, I'm just kidding. This fragrance is Duc de Vervins by Houbigant. And if you don't know who that house is, this was a house that created probably I think it was the first ever Fougere fragrance, which was I think it was Fougere Royale, like in 1882 or something like that. So that just tells you this is definitely an old house. It's been around for centuries, literally. And so now this is what I would describe Duc de Vervins. First of all, they have this one, which is the EDT. This is a 4-ounce bottle, and they have an extreme version, which is an EDP, I think. So I have the EDP. Now, the best description that I can give you for this fragrance, it was created in 1985. So let's go back to 1985. This is when the regulations weren't as strict as they are now. Oak moss reigned supreme. Okay, so this was probably one of the top powerhouse fragrances. So not to tell my age, but I was around during that time. So this will tell you better about this fragrance. This is what I would describe as a niche Drakkar Noir. Now, if you smell Drakkar Noir, which is a flanker, by the way, a lot of people don't realize Drakkar Noir is actually a flanker of the original Drakkar, but at any rate, Drakkar Noir was kind of like, I guess, what Aventus is now in a sense, whereas when it was out, I think it came out in like 1982, everybody was wearing it. There was tons and tons of clones of it. A very nice DNA. It was one of those fragrances that introduced the dihydromercenol accord or whatever that added a little brightness to these fragrances. But this Duc, we call it Duc around the house. Duc de Vervins is a very, very pleasant smelling fragrance. It has the lavender, it has the oak moss. Again, it's one of those fougeres, powerhouse fragrances. Definitely not overbearing because, again, I consider this to be in the family of Drakkar Noir. Now, I got that from a reviewer that I watch, Scents of South Jersey. So if you can, definitely check out my man's channel. He goes over all the powerhouse fragrances, all the old school fragrances. He does some new ones too, but he kind of reignited my interest, so to speak, in the powerhouses. Most of them have been neutered. Let's just be frank. So to get any of the powerhouses from old, you have to buy vintage. So this one is a newer release, of course. It's not as oak mossy as it probably was in the past, but it smells great. It literally dries down into Drakkar Noir. So if you know someone that really loves Drakkar Noir, they're definitely going to like this fragrance. It's definitely quality fragrance. Lasts long, and it smells great. I think, again, this is probably for the more mature side, if you will, or if you're younger and just appreciate fragrances, I would suggest this as a buy to get as well. Now, again, to best describe this is in the Drakkar Noir family. So I have Drakkar Noir here. Now, I have a small bottle. I'm not a fan of the current Drakkar Noir formulation. Let's just be real. This was my signature scent, like when I was in high school, so to speak. So what they have now is not as powerful. It still smells great, but it's not as powerful as it was before. Now, one that I have, believe it or not, is closest to that DNA that I had before is a classic match. So this is note for note, probably the closest you're going to get to the original Drakkar Noir formula. Now, as I said before, Drakkar was my signature scent then. Of course, if you're someone that likes powerhouses, if you liked, for instance, Czar, after Drakkar, Czar was my favorite fragrance. So I'm not going to tell you how much I spent on this bottle. I'd be embarrassed to tell you, so that'll tell you how much it was. But if you like Van Cleef and Arpels Czar, you'll probably like this fragrance. And again, it's not a clone of it or anything, but it's just in that genre. Also, if you like Cartier's Pacha de Cartier, you'd like this fragrance. Again, all of these are old school fragrances, but you have to have a nose for these to appreciate them. But these types of fragrances, I love. I love these fragrances. That's why I like my man over at South Jersey, Sense of South Jersey. So now another alternative to this, if this is too strong for you or you don't like it, there's another one. Al Rehab has a fragrance called Drakkar. It's another one that's really close to, it's a little bit more green, but it's closer to the original Drakkar's DNA. They also have a fragrance oil that's even more concentrated. Al Rehab does, so you can try that. And I'm talking about all of these because they're in that family of Drakkar Noir. But this fragrance, Duc de Vervins, is basically the pinnacle, I guess, or a very quality take on all of these fragrances. You know, again, this is probably a clone of Drakkar, because again, Drakkar came out in 1982. So a lot of these fragrances, you got Taxi, probably, which is it's a cheap fragrance, but it's one of the probably purest fougeres in existence right now. Then you have Lomani. It doesn't really smell exactly like Drakkar, but it's loaded with that dihydromercenol. So, but it smells great. I like to use that after shaving or something. And another one that kind of reminds me of this whole thing that you can get also is Perry Ellis. It's kind of dark there, but Perry Ellis Elite. This is one that reminds me of all of these fragrances as well. But Duc de Vervins is, again, if you have if your dad, want to get him a nice gift, this is not going to break the bank. It's going to probably cost about maybe like $40, $45. So great presentation, really nice bottle. Look at this bottle, this green and this gold. I mean, it's really nice. This would be a great dad gift for birthday or Father's Day. But again, it's not a youthful fragrance. It's not for the young. So I think younger guys could, 25 and up could get away with this. You definitely won't smell like anyone else. I mean, it's not a dead ringer for Drakkar. The dry down is Drakkar. I mean, the dry down is just flat out Drakkar. But I think it's not loud. It's not one of those powerhouses that, you're going to clear the room. If anything, people are going to say, oh, who smells nice? So I don't think you're going to have anyone smelling like you with this. Again, I think it's affordable. It's a niche. It's a nice presentation. If anything, it look good on your shelf. But I like it. I have actually a backup bottle of it because fragrances like these tend to get discontinued because people don't appreciate them. And that's sad, but that's true. And so I want to make sure I have enough of this for the future. But I showed you all of those other bottles because I do consider this, just like Sense of South Jersey said, this a family of fragrances that have similar DNA, and it's like a Drakkar Noir family. And this one is probably the most, I guess, quality of them all. So check it out if you get a chance, or even just buy it as a gift for your dad or for your uncle or someone that's a little bit more mature in your family. But I like it for myself. I guess I'm mature. So Duc de Vervins, Houbigant, definitely check it out if you get a chance. So I just wanted to bring that to you. I didn't want to get too old school on you guys, but I love the old school fragrances, even though I review a lot of these freshies and things like that. Every now and then it's time to just go back in time and just use some of those that you've used before or that you're not even familiar with. I mean, some of these guys are young and they're discovering some of the things that we wore back in the day. Of course, I was really young then, but still I was around. So at any rate, Signature Scent Reviews signing off. Again, just don't want to bore you guys. Just want to bring you some of these old school fragrances. And this is definitely one, I think, to start with if you're going to start enjoying some of these older scents. So this one is I think, a crowd-pleasing one, and it's not overbearing. So it's good to start with this one, maybe. But that's all I have for you guys right now. Signing off. Thanks for stopping by, and peace.